Hey everybody, it's Jeff from New York, and today we're back in Orlando. We're going to check out Disney's Pop Century Resort, which was built in 2003. Pop Century is the fourth value-priced resort in the complex following Disney's All-Star Movies, All-Star Music, and All-Star Sports resorts, which were all built in the 1990s. The resort is themed around 20th century American pop culture. The resort is separated and themed by decade, so there's a 1950s area, 1960s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. 5 different areas to this resort. It's another overcast day here, or another overcast morning here in Orlando. It seems like when the mornings start like this, though, things pretty much clear up by noon. Original plans called for the resort to have 2 sections, the legendary years and the classic years. The classic years is pretty much what you see here, the 50s through the 1990s. The legendary years, however, which was 1900 through 1940s, was started right before 9/11, and Disney decided to scrap the project even though they started building already because of the reduced tourism after 9/11. The fact that the legendary years section was never opened has led to people calling the Pop Century the Pop Half Century Resort, since only the 1950s through 1990s are featured. So let's have a walk around the inside and then check out the outside. We'll go through a full tour here. Let's check it out. I love when you walk in the lobby area here. They have all these, I guess you can call them shadow boxes on the wall. It's like a walk back into time. They're starting off here in the 50s and it goes all the way up into the 90s. I could spend a half hour here just looking at all this stuff. It brings back a lot of memories. Here's some stuff from the 50s, some flashcards and a lunchbox, a concentration game, some Play-Doh. In the 60s, you got the boots going here, you got some 45s, a peace sign, some flower power stuff. And it wouldn't be the 70s without some disco memorabilia. And here we see an album by the Village People, an 8-track, I think it's a Saturday Night Fever 8-track. Anyone remember the Rocky Horror Picture Show? I still watch that movie once in a while. And of course, the 70s was the birth of the Magic Kingdom here in Orlando. In the 80s, we had the fitness craze with Jane Fonda's workout book, cassettes replaced 8-tracks, Trivia Pursuit, Cabbage Patch Kids, My Little Pony. And in the 90s, we saw the birth of the personal computer, some gaming consoles, answering machines that used to be attached to telephones that were wired to the wall at that time. And like I said, this wall was right when you walked into the lobby area, the reception area. If you have to wait for a room or something here at Pop Century, it's a great way to take some time and just go down memory lane. Although I'm sure some people watching this video were born after the 90s, in which case it doesn't bring back memories and I'm just showing my age. Now we're walking back towards the front again and taking a look at the front desk, and as you can see, all those pictures and photos in the background, they're also on a timeline, and we're going from the 90s back to the 50s as we walk towards the front again. As with any Disney resort, or Universal resort as well here in Orlando, the place is spotless, especially considering there's lots of kids here. Walking towards the back of the front desk, you have everything Pop, which is where you can eat and shop here at Pop Century. On the left-hand side, we also have the transportation area, which is where you can catch a bus or a ride share. And if you make a right, it leads to the outside grounds and the hotel rooms and pool. Let's check out some souvenirs and essentials here at the Pop Century shop. Right next door to the shop is the dining area, and it's cafeteria style. There's a bunch of different stations here depending upon what mood you're in as far as what to eat. I'm here between breakfast and lunch, so it's kind of quiet. I'm sure it'll pick up around lunchtime. And again, the place is spotless. Alrighty, let's go outside, check out the grounds and the pool. So the building we just left is called Classic Hall. That's where the front desk is, as well as the souvenir shop and the dining area. We came out the back door, and that dropped us right off into the 60s area here at Pop Century, right by the hippy dippy pool. Off in the distance there is Pedals. You can get some children's as well as adult beverages there. It's the pool bar here. So that back door kind of dumped us off into the 60s area, but I'd like to do this in order, so let's head over to the 50s and work our way up to the 90s. As you can see, there's a couple pools here at Pop Century, and you can also see that all the rooms are outdoors. They don't lead to indoor hallways. They're all like a motel type of a layout here. And again, this is a value resort, and most of these buildings look identical, with the decorations being the only thing that separates the decades here. Another cool thing that I discovered is a lot of these Disney decorations that you see in these different areas, like the Lady and the Tramp we just saw, are all from the movies from the decade that you're in. Obviously, Lady and the Tramp came out in the 50s, so those decorations are here in the 50s area. I also like the way they do the stairwells here. They're all similar, but they're all decorated to the decade that the building is in. That jukebox is huge. From what I understand, it only plays the biggest hits. Those aren't real song titles, they're actually just made up corny titles, pretty much like that joke I just told. 1 swimmer, 2 lifeguards. Now that's the definition of an abundance of caution. As you can see, Pop Century is on a lake, as well as its sister hotel, Art of Animation, which was built a couple years after this one. And they're both connected to the Skyliner, which will connect you to most of the Disney theme parks. Photo opportunity! There's what used to be Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head. These days they're just called Potato Heads. And now we're going to head back to the pool area, the main pool area, and check out the 60s. This here around these parts is known as the Fantastic Five. They include Mickey and Minnie Mouse, Pluto, Goofy, and Donald Duck. If you spot one of them in this video, I'm not going to say which one, but if you spot one of them, leave a comment in the comment section below as far as the timestamp where you spotted them, and you'll get a shout out in an upcoming video. That big old 8-track standing up there must mean one thing: we're heading into the 70s area. Hey, if you're enjoying this video, please hit that subscribe button and smash that thumbs up. It really does help the channel out. So far we've seen the 50s with their bowling pin staircases, the Lady and the Tramp statue, the 45 RPM records, transistor radios, jukebox, and bowling pin pool. Then off to the 60s with its yo-yo staircases, hippie flowers, peace symbols, Play-Doh, Goofy with a surfboard in front of a 1964 Chevrolet Corvette Stingray, which was actually part of a water playground. Then we went off into the 70s where we had 8-track tape staircases, disco dancing, foosball setup, a 4-story tall big wheel, a Mickey Mouse phone, a mood ring, and 2 twister play areas. Now we've made it to the 80s where the 80s has Rubik's Cube staircases, a Roger Rabbit statue, a giant Walkman, a Mr. Potato Head, or Potato Head as it is today, Michael Jackson, Pac-Man, and a computer pool which is shared with the 90s. 90s is coming up shortly, and that's going to have cell phone staircases, a giant laptop, giant floppy disks and a computer keyboard, rollerblades, hip-hop dance, and a computer pool which again is shared with the 80s. And when we're done touring this complex, we're going to take a walk along the lake, and they have a timeline starting from the 50s all the way up to the 90s, all different signs. We're going to walk that and read those signs as we walk along. And here we are, we finally made it to the 1990s. And you have to keep in mind, as I said earlier in this video, this place was opened in 2003, which meant that the 90s was pretty current at that time. By the way, the number on that cell phone is Disney's customer service number. I got to thinking it's going to be almost 3 decades since the 90s, in a little while at least, and I was wondering if Disney was going to add on 3 more areas to this hotel complex. Most likely not. Maybe in the far future they'll upgrade these buildings to new decades. That's just my thought. So I wanted to take a walk along the lake here. They have these signs, and it's every year from 1950 to 2000, and I was actually going to do a separate video on these signs, but I figured I'd attach them to the end of this video. And of course, the longer signs you can pause and read them at your leisure. I hope you enjoy this. I hope you enjoyed that little timeline walk, and now I wish the sky would clear up, but we're gonna move along anyway. I'm heading towards the Skyliner, gonna check out some more Disney hotels and some theme parks, and stay tuned to the New York channel and hit that notification button, and you'll come along with me on this journey. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please like, comment, ask some questions, and most importantly, subscribe by clicking on the button on the left. You can visit all of my New York videos by clicking on the top right, or check out my videos on other favorite places to visit by clicking on the bottom right. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you around the city.